Hi everybody, movie review time again, and you're here with Green versus
Green.
This time we're going to be reviewing Ex Machina. Don't pronounce it Ex Machina.
You'll sound dumb.
Yeah, it's definitely Ex Machina. And who is in it?
Oh, okay, so there's Alicia Vikander, Gleason Domhnall, Isaac Oscar, and it's directed by Alex Garland, who also did 28 Days Later.
Yeah, I like that movie.
It was very good.
It's basically a science fiction thriller, which is about a scientist who invites not a gamer.
He's a programmer.
A programmer.
Named Caleb.
Not important. To his secluded research center, and the whole focus is trying to determine whether this piece of machinery, which is an artificial intelligence, a robot, whether or not the thing is considered human or not. And Caleb, the programmer, is part of the human component to help make that determination. And that's the entire movie. What did you think about it?
I thought it was excellent. I actually thought it was so good. I've seen it 4 times.
Only 4 times?
Only 4 times.
Okay.
I've seen it 4 times. I thought that the film was simplistically brilliant. I thought it's simple in the fact that there's only 4 actors in the entire film. There's a couple others, but I'm not going to tell you the part they play. They have no lines. But it takes place in the exact same building the entire time. And there's not really a soundtrack. The rooms are very, very simple. There's not many pieces, but you do realize that every part in the entire film is extremely important. You have to pay attention to everything. Alex Garland loves using symbols, and you see it all throughout this film.
And the references that he uses. Like there's a reference to the atomic bomb. There's
Oppenheimer, so there's a phrase, there's a quote that he uses. I can't remember the quote off the top of my head, but there's a quote that he uses. And you have to figure out, when you hear this quote, how does it tie into the rest of the film? I'm not going to give you too much except to say that the same way that Oppenheimer felt as though he was doing something that made the world come to an end. It's kind of like how Nathan starts to feel when he gets really drunk.
now. I will say overall, I thought this was an excellent, excellent movie. It is so simplistic in its approach to things, but that simplicity worked fantastically for what he was trying to convey. If you ever notice how they look at male androids as compared to female androids, really the controversy might come from this movie of are women being looked at as sex objects, because in just real life women might be looked at as sex objects anyway. And if you have an android who is female, a very attractive female, are we talking about a super sex object? And then it comes to bear with the person who created this particular android. So there's a bit of controversy that's working right there. And the other controversy that works in this movie very well is the survival instinct, in that if you're considered to be, or someone trying to find out whether or not you're human or not, then your need to survive should be strong. And how far will you go with that need won't say anything else.
What I think is interesting is, even though yes, the android or the female is basically naked through most of the film, you don't even really notice it. You're not paying attention to that. You're so focused on how realistic she is that you don't notice the fact that there's nothing on the bottom really. Well,
they've seen the advertisements.
They've seen the advertisement.
Yeah,
you know how she looks.
See-through. Okay,
some of it's see-through, but they didn't put skin on this android yet, so she doesn't look as realistic as she should. She still looks like a robot. But that being said, you're so focused on the things that she's saying and how human she seems, that you're not even focused on the sexiness that goes behind it. And it seems like she uses her intelligence, not her sexiness, to really lure Caleb in during the film.
Yeah, the crowd. I enjoyed this movie a lot. Let's try to.
So I'm gonna. Okay, so I also noticed. So what I really liked about the film is the way the film builds. It's kind of like climbing a mountain, and then by the time you hit the climax, then you drop down, very, very abruptly. But The mood, the plot, the tone, everything is very slow. They take their time. They're very patient. They put everything in necessary. And then out of nowhere, it kind of throws you for a loop at the end. You're not expecting that at all. But I thought that was done so, so well. It really, because you're sitting there and you're really feeling a connection to Caleb. You're feeling a connection to Ava, even though she's supposed to be just a robot. And you also feel a connection to Nathan, who's the original mad scientist that created Ava. But you learn to love all the characters and hate some of the characters at the same time. But you really start to feel, you forget that she's a robot. So I also noticed that there's also a very spiritual theme to the film. So I went and I did a lot of research. I watched the movie 4 times, so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out all the symbology that was within the film, and I know I missed some. But I also noticed Ava, so I looked up Ava. The name Ava is, it means Eve. And so if you think of Eve, Eve would be, it's Adam and Eve. She's the first woman on earth. Which
that's
if you
Adam and Eve.
Yes, in case you didn't know.
Okay.
But if you look at the film, you'll see how that ties into what's going on. I'm trying not to give too much while I'm talking about it here. I will not. The other thing that I also noticed, that there's a lot of references to God. Nathan makes a Caleb makes a statement to Nathan saying something about you're kind of like a god. And so you start to think that in this film, Nathan would be considered God, and Ava would be considered Eve. And if you think about the story that goes along with that, you can kind of take on what do you think is going to happen with, because you can tell there may be a second, there's probably going to be a second film. You can kind of surmise what's going to happen later on down the line based on the story of Adam and Eve.
Right.
So I thought that was very, very interesting.
Since you said that, I'll probably change my rating now.
No, you're I'm not expecting you to. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here.
Okay.
But I think it's very, very interesting the way that they were able to put in so many different layers. You've got a spiritual layer, you've got a scientific layer, you've got a romantic area. There's so many different layers that they put in, and it entrances you every single time. So that if you do want to see it 4 times, every single time you watch it, you'll learn something new.
Right. And the romantic layer is odd.
It's very odd.
All I'll say. The romantic layer is odd. I liked this particular movie so much that I actually asked Ava to do a picture of me. And this is what she did.
Wait.
No, I'm very serious.
My father is a true dork. Hold on. Can you please hold this up to the camera?
Well, I mean, I could
Lloyd.
do it that way, or... Go to a particular if you go to the website for this particular, I think is Ex Machina.com or Ex Machina movie or something. They have part of the site that gives the information, plus Ava speaks to you and asks if she can draw your picture.
That's amazing.
And there's quite a few other people who have, a lot of other people, that you can see other people who have their pictures drawn by Ava on here. And so I'm up there with the crowd. Okay, so, or any other things you want to
No, I'm good. I'm sorry, I talked too much.
Okay, so, what do you give the movie?
Out of 4 stars? Are we going out of 5 or are we going out of 4? So we're special, we do out of 5. So out of 5 stars, I'm going to give it a 4.5.
How come? Why not a 5?
I feel like nothing in this world is perfect, so you can't give anything a 5.
I thought the movie was that special, you might give it a 5. Because I do.
You give it a 5?
Yes, I thought it was perfect in every way.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I'll be honest, the very, very first time I saw it, I thought that it was moving slowly. I couldn't figure out exactly where. I couldn't figure out exactly where the climax was supposed to be until I got to the very end, and I was like, do you put a climax at the end of a film? Is that
That's
truly?
where it usually goes.
No, the climax is in the middle. It builds up, and then it just slowly goes up after that. No?
That's debatable, but okay.
Anyway, so the first time I watched it, I was thinking there was a period in time that I was watching, I was like, this is done, it's so simple, I don't know if I would be bored. I wonder if other people around me are bored because it's so simple. And I know there's so many layers that I can talk about it once I pay attention to it, but that's what I thought the first time, and then it pulled me right back in after a certain scene. I'm not saying what scene. It did pull me right back in. But as I watched it again and again, I realized, I think I was expecting a lot of action. I think it's because I walked in with certain expectations. So maybe that's why.
Well, for those of us who did not have to see it 4 times and try to understand everything that went on. I've only seen it twice, and the reason I saw it the second time is because I was that impressed. I really, really recommend this movie. It is worth a 5. The acting, the plot, the twists, the turns, everything in it. The play between the characters, everything just works with this.
I agree.
And it's an excellent movie. I recommend it. And I guess that's it for now.
That's it for now.
We'll see you. And again, this is Green versus
Green.
Okay. Take care.
I'm agreeing too.